Good. Good evening.
Good evening.
We do have quorum present. If I can get an approval of the agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We are here this evening to conduct our interview process for a superintendent of Eufaula City School System. And we have with us this evening Dr. Greg DeJarnett.
You did good.
With us. And each board member we have a process that we're going to, a format that we're going to follow by, and we will go through that. And by all means, are you comfortable?
I'm
Are you
comfortable.
good? Do we
Thank
need
you.
to do anything? Give
No,
you
sir,
anything?
I'm good.
All is well?
All is well.
All right. Okay. Dr. Jeanette has spent today with us today, and he had an opportunity to tour the system, the school facility, as well as the community, and opportunity to meet with each board member as well as administrators. And so we are here at this point now for the interview process, and we will go through that, and we're going to try to keep it at a minimum if we possibly can. Okay. All right, so we will begin. I guess I'll start first.
Okay.
So if you would, Doctor, tell us about your personal background, professional experience, and your belief on public education and why you're interested in being our superintendent.
Thank you for the question. And before I delve into answering that question, I think it is always appropriate to express gratitude. There's three things that I've been taught that is something we should never get to the point where we can't say. And one is I love you. And two is I'm sorry. And three is thank you. And the thank you is befitting at this moment to say thank you for the time that you took out of your day and out of your schedule to entertain me speaking to you tonight about a very important role and job here in this community. I want to thank Ms. Susan Webb, who has done an outstanding job of accommodating me and making sure that I had all of the itinerary and things that I needed in order to be cared for, and I just appreciate that. And also those that took the time out today to show me around, and the administrators, the principals, the assistant principals were just as accommodating and inviting as they could possibly be. And so that says a lot for a school district and the organization that I found to be so with this process. So I just, again, I want to express my thank yous to all of you for that. And the decision that you make will be yours, but when I go back to Montgomery and continue to do the work that I do around the state of Alabama, I have nothing but good things to say about Eufaula City Schools and the leadership that I have had the privilege of enjoying today. Thank you again.
Okay.
To answer the question of a little bit about myself and my background and my philosophy or so forth, that's in education. My personal background is I come from a military family. My father is a 20-year military Vietnam veteran. My mother is a seamstress, retired. Both of them are retired. I have a couple of siblings, and my oldest sister, and I'm in the middle, so I have been spoiled. And I have a younger daughter. Both of them are female, and they've taken care of their little brother and their big brother. My professional experience is, as you've had an opportunity to see on my resume, it is vast. I've had an opportunity to serve at every capacity at a K-12 unit school. I was a teacher, coach, and a bus driver, so I understand all of that. At a K-12 unit school, I had the privilege of working with elementary, middle school, and high, all in that same facility. And then moving from there, I went to the central office and worked with central office supervisor over transportation for the district, where we transported close to 8,000 students every day. So I was involved in the decision-making process of either early release or dismissal of school, so forth. So I'm very familiar with that process. And then from there, I was asked to go to the high school, which was the largest high school in our county, which was in the county seat, to do a turnaround job. And the job was as advertised. It was difficult, but God gave us the strength to get it done, which led to the opportunity that I have today, which is at the State Department, in which I go around all over the state, from the north end to the most southern region, to the west, to the east, and then all in between. And I've had the opportunity and privilege to see a lot of different school districts, some more affluent than others as it comes to resources, and some that were doing the best they could to get by. The school districts sometimes that had the most money may not have performed the best, and the schools that had some of the least money were showcases of schools and leadership throughout the state. So resources are definitely necessary and needed, but it is not the all in all, end all, be all. What I've found to be so in my professional career and also through experience is that the attitudes of the people in the organization is what makes the mare trot. And if a positive culture and climate is cultivated within any organization, that organization is going to thrive and do just fine. But in order for that to happen, integrity definitely has to have its place. Respect has to be number one. Respect from my chair as the superintendent, and respect coming throughout the whole organization. Your pivotal beliefs on public education, I am a staunch supporter right off the bat of public education. Public education has been good to me. It has been good to this nation. It has been good to this country for years and years and years to come. I know public education has somewhat been under attack in the most recent years, but the system of public education has put a man on the moon. It has sent people to the depths of the ocean, and it has built a nation with the strongest military on the face of the planet, so it couldn't have been doing that bad. So I definitely believe in public education. I chose this career. It wasn't a second thought for me when I went to college on a basketball scholarship and played my basketball career collegiately. I chose education and hadn't had a regret since I've chosen it. I've had an opportunity to have a rich life. Rich in the sense, not financially by any means, but rich in the sense that I have had an opportunity to touch people's lives in some of the most intimate times of their life, whether it comes to, God forbid, having to be at the bedside of people when they're sick, to being at funerals, to being at anniversaries and key moments in people's lives, all because of what education has provided me. And so I'm thankful and blessed, and this is my 25th year in the business, and I've seen a lot come and go. Why am I interested in being the superintendent here in Eufaula City Schools? I believe and know without any arrogance at all that I have a skill set that has been cultivated through experience and through continuing education that can be a benefit to this school district. I'm a collaborator. I'm a bridge builder. I am a positive climate person, cultivator. You have to work with all stakeholders. You have to do it with a sense of integrity that is unquestioned. And so therefore I take pride in my integrity. I've been with my sweetie, that is my wife, for 30 plus years. And we've been married for coming up on 25 of those. So not only do I feel like that I can bring something to this school district, here's something that is equally important. I feel like this school district can bring something to me. And as a minister, the reason why I have that paradigm is because when I'm called upon to go and speak and encourage a community or a congregation at a speaking engagement or revival or whatever, you also take something back from that experience by the way that you're treated and the way that your family is treated as a result of that opportunity to speak. So I understand that that same dynamic is true when it comes to education. Not only are you all looking for somebody to come to be the leader that you can count on to lead this community, I'm also looking for this community to enrich me as well. Only a fool thinks that they know everything, and an education doesn't provide that knowledge. Having a humble spirit and allowing other people to enrich your life and to listen and to take something in, then you can move forward with a sure foot.
Thank you much. Dr. Marwood.
Shifting gears a little bit, tell me about your plans to recruit, train, mentor, and evaluate teachers and administrators in our school system.
Thank you. Well, the simple response to that, and then I'll get a little bit more in depth, is we have a very effective mechanism in place to do that through Teach Alabama, of course, which is there at the State Department, where I am. But that's the simple part. The retainment part is where the magic happens. Is that once you get good people on board, how do you keep them? That's the question. And there are 4 identified things that hold people. One is people have to feel like they matter. So the people that we have on board have to feel like they matter. And so knowing that, as a leader, I have to make people feel as if they matter. 2, they have to find a place to fit in. Where do I fit in this education system? Where do I fit? You see. 3, you have to recognize people's skills and abilities. So when we recognize people's skills and abilities and utilize them, and then 4, the environment can't be overly rigid. It can't be so strict and rigid that people hate working here. And that goes with any organization, because that's counterproductive to student achievement. So the recruiting part is, of course, you use your system website, you use the different mediums of communication through social media and so forth. You use the state website. But you also cultivate an environment that the resources that you have already here, and that being your principals and teachers and people that work here, custodians, CNP workers, they'll help recruit and get some folk here if they like where they work. So, you know, that's like a doctoral program. Some people ask me, say, well, would you recommend this program or that program? Not if I've had a bad experience. no, don't go there. but that's what we have to do, is empower people and encourage people to enjoy what it is that they do, and they'll help get other people here. That's not a problem.
Well, it's good to see you again. What is your philosophy about discipline in today's school, and how has your discipline philosophy changed as a result of the safety concerns of today?
Yes, ma'am. My discipline philosophy is it marries into what I do with the State Department of Education. And what I do is I teach from an expertise standpoint of being proactive when it comes to mitigating disciplinary issues. And what I mean by being proactive is a lot of things can be cut off before they ever get started. If a proper environment is in place and relationships established in the schools. People don't want to disappoint people that they love and respect. And if an environment is created and established and maintained of mutual respect and respect for children, that doesn't mean that the children are running the house or anything like that. But it just means that when you respect them, they'll respect you. And a lot of things that sometimes they would do, they won't do because they don't want to disappoint you. I found that to be so in my whole career. I have, in Chilton County where I worked in a 98% Caucasian to black ratio demographically. And I am the only black man that has ever served as an administrator in that school. And I was the first. And I had to suspend, expel, paddle, and so forth. We paddled up there. I'd have to check your policies on what you all do. But we paddled up there. And I recall one instant, and there were several, but just for the sake of time, of paddling a student, a young white guy. And he turned around and shook my hand and thanked me and apologized that he put me in the predicament to have to punish him. So it all starts with a genuine care and love for people. And you either have that or you don't. You got to love people, and they got to know you love them. You got to be consistent. Is that if we've established a protocol of this is what we're doing, there are some different dynamics and so forth that you pull in and you consider and so forth, but overall it's pretty much the same type of offense. Consistency has to be established, because now that's getting into your integrity. And I believe that you don't take a sledgehammer to fix something that you can use with a tack hammer. You don't do that. Your discipline shouldn't be to destroy the person. Your discipline should be to help the person. My philosophy is not what we can do to them, but what we can do for them through the discipline process. Because at the end of the day, they're going to transition from young people to adults. And they're not going to forget the way that you treated them, or I treated them, or whoever treated them. You're not going to forget it.
Good evening. Thanks for coming here this evening. How have you been involved in the ongoing physical management And the second part of the question is, what are your strengths and weaknesses with physical management?
Well, as a high school principal, of course, I spoke about the school being in tough straits. And when I got to the school, just got to tell the truth. I'm not trying to make my whole system look bad, but it's the truth. When I was hired and went there, at one point that summer, the school's general fund account was negative $500 in the red. It not only was broke, it was past broke. I could have did that if it was just broke. But not only that, there were several club accounts that ranged anywhere from $200 to $2,000 in the red. The discretionary account, in which you have non-public accounts where your community stakeholders and so forth donate monies and what have you to the school, and we call it the C Club. It didn't have any money in it. When I left in 4 years, the account that at one point was negative 500 in the red had $35,000 to the good, and this was back in 2008 when the Great Recession hit. All of the club accounts when I left were balanced and in the black and had several dollars in the account. The C Club account, which did not have a red cent in it, had approximately $40,000 in that account. Not only that, we raised $50,000 to pave around the high school stadium. Not only that, we secured $25,000 to build a new weight room and field house. And so when you and then tying into my own personal finances, I manage my own personal finances well. I have an A1 credit rating. I've built and sold properties, and I'm very frugal with my own money. Transitioning not only from the school to the church where I serve as minister. We paid for a church that was scheduled for a 15-year repayment plan. We paid for it in 5. We added on another addition to the facility, and it's almost paid for. So you're talking about now approximately a $750,000, $800,000 facility that's all but paid for in the run of about a 10-year period. So fiscal management on several levels. When I was transportation supervisor, I oversaw a $3 million budget there. So pretty sound when it comes to fiscal management. But I'm not cheap.
Don't be cheap.
You can't. You be responsible, but don't be cheap. Yeah.
Glad to see you again.
Yes.
All right. Can you describe your philosophy about the role of fine arts in the schools?
I think it's wonderful. I had an opportunity today. I called my wife, when I got back, and I was just sharing, what I had an opportunity to see today. And, I know one of the questions, and I'll deal more in detail with the athletics, but in our conversations today, that came up. And you could probably look at me and tell I've been involved in athletics. But everybody doesn't play athletics. Everybody doesn't participate in athletics. And, everybody has different interests, for lack of a better word. But so to incorporate the arts and music and all of the things that I saw today at every school, that was great. Because everybody needs to be involved in something. And the more things that people are involved in, the better they do. I'll say quickly and answer that question, is that there are 4 research-based principles of why people succeed and get out of tough situations. 1, they have a vision and a goal. Everybody that has come out of a tough situation had a vision and a goal. 2, they had a special skill and talent. Special skill and talent, yes. And that is something that the school district should play a role in helping to cultivate. And 3, they had a special mentor. Somebody that guided them, was an advocate for them, that held them accountable, that chastised them, that corrected them, that hugged them, that loved them, that reassured them, showed them the ropes. And 4, it was too painful for them to stay in that tough situation that they grew up in. So the arts, coming back to that, is as a body and as a superintendent, as teachers and administrators and community leaders, by helping to plug people into things that they enjoy, discipline goes down, office referrals go down, student achievement go up, teacher satisfaction goes up, when we ensure that everybody has something that they enjoy.
Okay, can you just share with us what do you consider to be the most important duties of a superintendent, and how do you see the role of a superintendent as it relates to the school board, employees, students, as well as the community?
Well, the position is the chief education officer in a school district to make sure that day-to-day operations go. So we handle the day-to-day operations side of things. We ensure that the policies that are set by this body are adhered to. We make sure that the laws from a federal and state level are adhered to. That board policy is adhered to. As far as the relationship with the board goes, is we have to do it as a partnership. You guys are the gatekeepers of this community. Superintendents are going to come and they're going to go. But you all are going to be here for the long haul. So therefore, understanding that, wisdom has to tell anybody that you have to work with the gatekeepers of any community, because they are in the community. They are part of the community. They know, and they've been entrusted by the community. So we have to work together. And, I've been in leadership almost all my life. And as serving as a superintendent, as a city councilman, I understand that I couldn't get everything as I wanted as a councilman. But you don't cry over spilled milk. You got to big boy it up and dress that thing up another way if you feel passionate about it, and put some honey on it and sweeten it up. Come back at it again. And if the board just doesn't see it, or just, sometimes the answer may be wait a while. So you wait a while. It may be no, and that's okay. But I have to trust that, and whoever you all hire, they have to trust that, not cry over spilled milk. So that's it. We have to be unified. We have to trust one another. We have to respect one another. We have to have integrity. And in talking, I was encouraged so much so, I won't go into our conversations that we had on a personal note, but I was just encouraged one by one to hear your philosophies and your mindset about things here. It was very encouraging. And that's one of the things, quite frankly, with superintendents, average life of one being about 18 months.
Change that.
That's not good for anybody. So I definitely want to work with a board that, and I don't mean no disrespect, that's not crazy. I want to work with people who are definitely good folk and have the best interests of children at heart.
I appreciate that. And if you could just expound on your relationship in terms of the superintendent with the community.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As you all have had an opportunity to read my resume, you'll see that, man, community work and service and advocacy is what I do and what I've done as a community leader, as a city councilman, as a minister, as a longtime educator in the hometown in which I've grown up in. It is paramount that you bring the stakeholders together and bring them to the table and work with them and bridge gaps and build bridges and get to know everyone. One of the things that we kind of talked about at breakfast is in going around the state, you pick up, different ideas of what some of the other school districts are doing. And one school district in particular, there are several of them, but one in particular, they meet with all of the community stakeholders, ministers, police chief, fire chief, and mayor, judges, everybody, at least once a month. And by doing that, there becomes a familiarity with everyone. So in the event of a school safety situation, then that's not the first time, I know that your first responders train and go into the school, but just for the sake of answering this, that's not the first time that those first responders meet the principal or the assistant principal or the person who's in charge of a safety issue or so forth. So you get an opportunity to drink coffee, eat a little soup, some sandwiches or what have you. But you also get an opportunity to build those relationships. And that is crucial.
Thank you.
What is your philosophy and experience with alternative education programs such as alternative school, twilight or night school, virtual school, other than just a straightforward classroom environment?
Yes, sir. Well, again, as a high school principal, we had access at our campus in which students had that capability to take courses from right there at our school and through virtual learning, teacher, with that process. And then also access is right behind us down at the department where Mr. Larry Raines has been granted the opportunity to serve as the coordinator there. So those things are definitely necessary and needed. And when it comes to alternative schools in our section in prevention and support services, that's one of the things that I check for, that I monitor for during compliance, to see that alternative school is not just a jail, if you will, but by law it is to be an alternative setting to teach corrective behaviors while they are there. In other words, if a student is punished or suspended and is sent home, but he or she has not had any instruction or awareness of what they're doing to get in any trouble, well, the trouble is going to repeat itself. So therefore, as a school district, I would definitely want to look at and see what type of restorative justice measures are in place. What are we doing to retool, reshape the behavior that caused them to have to receive an office referral or in-school suspension placement, or even be suspended for that matter? Because if we're not addressing the underlying problems that are causing the behavior, well, the behavior is just going to continue to repeat itself.
Okay, thank you. I had a lot of things about the superintendent and the superintendent role and the board role that you kind of touched on some of that, but I did want to ask you, what did you feel as the superintendent role and the school board role in formulating educational programs?
Yes, ma'am. Well, definitely have to be together. I mean, if I recommend it, you all are either going to approve it or not approve it. So we definitely have to be together and have those conversations before we ever come to this venue in a public setting. That's paramount and important, so that we can come as a united front, that we're all together with this thing. If there are some things that have to be detailed out or fleshed out, then my philosophy on that is we need to do that in a setting, and then when we come out to make that known to the public, then we show up in the public as a united front. I'm like this, and it was this way as a city councilman. If there's not a consensus, a majority consensus before coming to the public, I don't. This is Greg talking. I don't want to bring it to the public, because it makes it look as if we're fractured or splintered, and where cracks and crevices are, water gets in the crevices and destroys the roof. So I would want us to be all together, and then we come out and present it, and we fleshed it out behind the scenes.
And how do you plan to keep the board informed of to keep that relationship going?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'll definitely be calling you. I'll be texting you. I'll be emailing you what is appropriate to email without going into too much detail, especially things of a sensitive nature. I would definitely, my door as an administrator is open. Come in and talk with me. As you all have had an opportunity today to see, I'm pretty much face value, what you see is what you get. For lack of an articulate word, I'm not a flim-flam. I'm just a straight dude, and I'll shoot you straight.
Okay, thank you.
What is your experience with facility management and construction?
Well, I shared some of that on the private side of things, and on the personal side of things, when it comes to building there at the church and building properties on my own endeavors, from the standpoint of even building my own business from the ground up. And from the school side of things, when I was transportation supervisor, I went in and renovated the whole transportation department, gutted it, and redid it, and brought it up to where the facilities were respectable. The process of that, I'm familiar with it, is that we decide what it is that we want to do by way of the needs that come to us from the schools and the principals and the leaderships in the facilities, and the planning, the strategic planning that's on the table for us to move forward as we keep an eye on the demographics of growth and so forth. So therefore you have to do some projections and strategic plannings and so forth to let us know as far as what we're going to need to do as far as facilities go. When that process is done, you definitely have to have your architect in place and working with your building maintenance supervisor, working with them. I'm familiar with that process because out at the transportation department where I worked, the building and construction side was right there together, so we were all together. And then working through that, you also have to contact the State Department of Education, where Assistant Superintendent Perry Taylor oversees that part of the work. So where you submit your plans and so forth, and then he'll flesh it out, detail it out, and then tell you what you can and can't do, or what you got to do, and so forth. So I'm very much familiar with that process and what you have to do to move forward to get some stuff done. And what I don't know, I'll definitely find out.
High performance by students and accountability are obviously priorities for us. How would you, this is kind of a two-part question.
Okay.
How would you assess the current student performance levels in our system, and how would you assess the effectiveness of our teachers and programs?
Well, of course, you do your data reviews when it comes to your scores. And that I'm sure this is already in place, so I'm just answering the question. But you do your data reviews as a system, central office, building level administrators, coaches, and so forth. And you pour over that data and let the data tell the story. When the data tells the story, then we have to do some targeted work with the data to help put some ointment on what we need to do to improve it, right? As far as the teacher assessments, I think I've been out of the building now for the last 7 years, but I know stuff changes, but I think they're still using Educate Alabama to where the building level administrator looks at the PLPs and self-assessments and all of that good stuff, and then evaluate teachers and so forth. So there are protocols that are already in place for teacher evaluations. Now, that's the easy part of that answer. Okay, the part of the answer, or the part of that question is, what are you going to do as a superintendent? Well, you definitely have your data checks, you definitely have your meetings here at the board and so forth, and going in with the data review teams and so forth. But you have to do your due diligence of getting up out of your desk, getting out of this building, and putting some time in the schools and putting eyes on things so that you can get a truer picture and not just rely on data. Because if you just rely on data, then the data may mislead you from a standpoint that a principal or a teacher is not doing a good job, just simply based on data. And that would be unfair and untrue to the teachers and administrators, because I can promise you that if Nick Saban didn't have 4- and 5-star athletes, he wouldn't be winning all these national championships. I can promise you that. So what's the point? The point is this, is that a test does not, and I repeat, does not tell the whole story of the work that teachers are putting into their students and the classroom. And the sad thing about that is that everybody is getting sucked in to that false misnomer. If I can elaborate just a little more, here's what's going on nationwide. The federal government puts the pressure on the states. States put the pressure on the local district. Local district put the pressure on the superintendent. Superintendent puts the pressure down to the principals. Principals put the pressure on the teachers. And the teachers put the pressure down on the children, right? Isn't that about how it goes? That's about how it goes, isn't it? Now, so here come all of this testing and assessments. And trust me, I've been doing this long enough to know what I'm talking about. I'm not tests have their place. Let me just put it that way. They have their place. But they are not the all in all end all. And when you find yourself doing more testing than you're doing teaching, Houston, there's a problem. Now, the other thing with that is that because of a test, and I understand the public relations and all of that stuff that go with it, and I got it. But somebody got to have some sense, and I'm not saying that, I'm just speaking in general terms, is that the teacher gathers up her documentation to show the principal. The principal gathers up his documentation to give to the superintendent. Superintendent gathers up his documentation to bring to the board. The board gathers up its documentation and says to the state, we're doing this, right? And so when the test scores are not whatever is deemed or appropriate or whatever is set as a proficiency, then the accountability is that that school district is a failure, or the superintendent is a failure, or the principals are failures, or the teachers are failures. And so then everybody is running for cover. So everybody points at those little kids over there. It's them. They just can't learn, right? Isn't that about the way it goes? It's sad. And the poor child is sitting over there, coming to school hungry, coming from environments that would make us cry if we really understood what they're going through. Nobody is going to learn with a toothache. Nobody is going to learn with a headache. Nobody is going to learn when fear takes over their life because of abuse, because of emotional, mental, or physical abuse, or even sexual in some cases. And no one is going to learn when they can't see. And I've gotten to the age now to where if I don't put these things on, I've been in denial. But if I don't put them on, I can't see this paper. So we as a school district and as human beings have to take the human approach to do the best that we can to address these underlying issues that are causing student achievement to suffer. When we do that, when we put glasses or make sure that the child who can't see has the glasses, then they can see in order to learn. When we realize the person who has the abscessed tooth, we can get the tooth pulled and some antibiotics remedied, so now the baby isn't hurting, so now they're able to learn. We have to remove the fear as best we can as mandatory reporters with DHR and report whatever we see going on and let them do the investigating and be a child advocate. And when common sense has been lost because of so much pressure, because of a test, we have to go back and reevaluate things. So am I saying that tests are not necessary? That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is don't let a simple test score be the end all and be all for the determination of whether a teacher or an administrator is doing an adequate job. You got to get in that school and put eyes on things and know things for what they are and what's going on, and then do your dead level best to support that teacher and that administrator to get the job done. Now, if they're doing their best, and it is what it is, it is what it is. If they're not doing their best and they've become apathetic or complacent, then that's the horse of a different color. And we'll try to do what we can to get them where they need to be. And I'm not opposed, I wasn't opposed as a principal, and I'm certainly not opposed as an administrator to change directions and get somebody that will. But not just simply because of a test score.
Okay. All right. Gee whiz. What has been the biggest problem in community school relations in your career, and what have you done about it? And secondly, just describe some specific strategies that you will use to promote more parent and public school support in school activities.
Okay. Well, one of the problems that I've run into in my career let me find which question was that?
I'm sorry, community number 4.
Number 4? Okay. Is having a knowledge of a certain direction that you may feel is best and may even have research to prove it or back it up. But early in my career, I didn't do as good of a job articulating that. You can know where you're going. You can know how to get there. But I found we have to do a better job of articulating that every step of the way and communicating that. So therefore, when you communicate it and you articulate it and you lay it out and you provide direction and clear forward progress, I found that to be the most effective thing to do. As far as strategies go to do that, again, you have to build relationships. You have to get people to buy in to what it is that you are trying to share with them. And even though it is the best thing, and even though it is the right thing, and even though the challenge comes when people have accepted a tradition or a mode of operation of doing things, and they've gotten comfortable in it, and so therefore change becomes difficult or challenging. And as a result, there's a little friction, there's a little pullback, there's a little this and that. And you have to stay steady the course. You can't get so emotional and aggravated and upset, because people are human beings. They're not inanimate objects. They have feelings and traditions and norms that they've accepted, even if they're not accurate. They're still their convictions. So you have to be patient with people. You have to be long-suffering with them. And you have to dock that ship slowly. Now, when there's a situation when it comes down to school safety, or we're not doing things that are from a safe standpoint, then you got to go in and turn that and grab a hold to it and communicate it and get it done, because you're dealing with the safety of children. So when it comes down to philosophies and so forth, you may have a little room to dock the ship slowly, but safety issues, health and safety issues, you got to do that quick.
Okay. Before Dr. Lockwood closes out, do either board member have another question that they need to add? Okay.
No, go ahead. I think he's answered all of mine.
Okay. Explain your view on the best way to integrate technology. We have a one-to-one, we've got a lot of Chromebooks and iPads in hand. The best way to integrate technology into the curriculum and instructional process in order to raise student achievement
Sure.
and keep up with the innovative world we've got out there.
Yeah. Well, technology integration is definitely the way of the world. Children are asked to be more tech savvy than ever before. So it is not something to be scoffed at or overlooked or minimized. It is a reality. But in going around and doing the walkthroughs today, I saw all of that. I saw Chromebooks and so forth. I saw auditory technology. I saw all of that, and I was looking to see how the classroom was arranged, as I was also looking at the technology. And I saw the desk arranged in communities so that collaborative learning can take place. When we came through school, it was more or less a siloed approach. Do your own work, stay in your own lane. But the research is clear that we all learn better with a collaborative process, and so I was just looking at those. I was looking at that process. Now, I was exposed to some great stuff. The production lab at the high school with the camera system, and that's real world utilization. I went to every one of the schools and I saw them using Chromebooks and so forth and what have you. But remember, technology, we've minimized it to simply meaning digital. This is technology. This is technology. They used to use feathers on a... So some of that can get overrated. And we can overcomplicate education. A book is technology. A chalkboard is technology. I think you got the point. So technology is not just a monitor, a smart board, a laptop, Chromebook, or some, Now, do they need to know it? Yes. But can we get too far over the top with it? Yes. We've gotten so to the point in society that if these phones go out with the navigation, we're going to be lost as a ball in high weed. And that happens sometimes. You turn here, turn there, turn here. It happened to me trying to get here. So I had to resort to Miss Susan. Give me a landmark on how to get in here, you see. So, this will sum up kind of my philosophy on education. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. The best attribute of any school and school system is the teacher. The teacher. A competent, highly motivated, emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, happy teacher and administrator. Mm-hmm. That's the resource, that's the human resource that's going to ensure teaching and learning.
Okay. Are you good, Ms. Hall?
I think he's answered what I need him to answer.
Dr. Locke, will you close us out, please?
You want to give us your best 3-minute commercial to entice parents to enroll their kids in Eufaula City Schools?
Yeah, and if I have time, and you all share with me, I would like to allow you all, because an opportunity to see a digital portfolio or resume of who I am before I give my 3 minutes. Would that be appropriate? Mm-hmm. And I don't know who's operating the technology, but
the comment is not me.
But this is just to provide you with a visual, because you can read stuff on paper and not get, and anybody can put anything on paper, but I want to back up, and these are just a few. It's about 4 minutes, 3 minutes, not long, but just take a look as these slides go by as to who the guy is before you.
Is it automatic?
It's automatic. And these are all things that I've led at the department. That's my counterpart at the University of Alabama. And those are some that do statewide trainings with me. That's Heidi Chang. That's Jason Flatt. Everybody's in here familiar with that. Senator Allen and Mr. Flatt. That's a presentation at an international mentoring conference. I do trainings for the University of Alabama Superintendent's Academy. That was a panel for a class. Helping Families Initiative with John Tyson. That's down at Mega Conference. That's at the Superintendent's Conference. Working with the EMA, Alabama High School Athletic Association, trainings for them. Do collaborative work with AEA. That's my sweetie. That's at the Governor's Preparedness Conference for School Safety. That's at the EMA bunker in Clanton. I provide information to school districts to help them make decisions to close schools and so forth. That's my city council group. And there I am working with the community. Secured a grant to get new playground equipment. I had a problem in the community. A guy came through with a rebel flag and calling people expletives. I'm doing the let you slide there, baby. That's me talking to a youth group. That's a church function. That's the church that we built. My wife. That's my big man. That's my family. Community Recognition Award. So, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to, again, interview with you all here tonight, and 3-minute speech on coming to Eufaula City Schools. I think it is noteworthy that this is the oldest school district city system in the state of Alabama, established in 1872. This school district offers academic and enrichment and technology and technical information and opportunities for your children to grow in. We offer a broad range of opportunities for your children and family to succeed here. We have sports, we have the arts, liberal arts, music, art, career tech opportunities. We offer international baccalaureate and AP courses. We offer career tech opportunities, and we have a thriving community with a 46,000 acre lake with 640 miles of lake frontage. And our most prized resources here, we enjoy the lake and we enjoy the water. But the most prized resource that we have here is our human capital and the people that serve this community. So I think you'll enjoy it here, and come on in and find yourself at home in Eufaula City, Alabama. And we're going to educate your babies and give them a great opportunity to thrive and grow. Thank you so much.
Very good.
Thank you.
We certainly do appreciate Dr. DeJarnett and taking the time out to come down. At this time, we need to, need a motion to adjourn at this time.
So moved.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
And we're going to offer you the opportunity to just meet with the public and talk with them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you again.
Thank you
so much.